Welcome to the
Welcome
show.
to another episode of The Couch Show. And welcome to the channel, Sibling Rivalry. We're your
We're,
hosts.
we're,
I'm Lynn.
I'm Ray. We're late, but we got breaking news. Breaking news. We
Breaking
need like a little
news.
tele thing. We need a little thing in the bottom, like a little ticker. Don't you have one? You said you had one last time.
Yeah, I don't really know how to use it though. Like I had something here and now it's like showing me that it's not really here anymore. Oh, it was like in a folder. I don't know. We're learning.
Oh, I
Hey.
said, oh, there we go. Oh, but that's not the breaking news.
No, that's not the breaking news. That's just like, hey, if you haven't already, consider subscribing.
All right. So should we go right into it, or should we like recap a little bit? Like, how has your
I
day
don't
been?
know. Hey, Fuzz, how's it
Hey
going?
guys. Hey guys. Um, what day is today? I lost track of time.
Today is Tuesday, the
Tuesday, yeah. So
21st.
we had the weekend. We
Yesterday
had
was
the
the first day
weekend.
of spring. And
Officially?
today is
Oh,
feeling
okay.
like spring. It's nice, you know? We
Oh,
have a
it's
little
like
break
60
from the weather.
degrees. It's really nice. Yeah, it's really
hmm
nice. Over the weekend, I went to go see Shazam.
Okay, how's that?
It was okay. I've seen better movies. I've seen worse movies. I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
it was okay. But it didn't do so good at the box office. So I think maybe all these comic book movies, man, they're starting to fail.
Yeah. I
I don't
mean,
think it's the
the
comic book
thing, I think
movies.
the biggest thing is that we're just, redoing the movies that we already have out. Like, we already
Nah,
have
I
a
don't think so.
Shazam movie. Like,
I don't think it's
hello?
the genre. I don't think it's the genre. I think if somebody put out good content, people are going to come in droves and watch the movie. I
Mhm.
think it's just bad writing, bad content creators that are just. I mean, DC was always rough, but even Marvel's like falling into a slump because they're resting on their laurels, right?
Mhm.
So it's like you got to get back to the drawing board, and you got to. Where's Kevin Feige, who used to you know pan all these movies out and be like, all right, this movie's gonna tie into this one and tie into this one, and then we're gonna reference in the fifth movie what happened back in the first movie, and be like, oh, this was all there all along. You see, like they're not doing all that. They're
Right.
just I don't know, putting out crap, and they're expecting people to pay for it, and it's bombing. Whoa, 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 whoa! Settle down over here, camera. Getting a little excited. So, what else you did over the weekend?
Um,
St. Patty's Day celebrations? Did you guys go out?
I can never remember what it was that I did. I did go out. I went out with my girlfriend, had a couple drinks. We actually went bar hopping. We went to like three different bars that day. That was fun.
Nice. Where at?
Stayed out late. I was like, look at me not being an old lady.
Where at? Where at? Where'd you go bar hopping at?
In Newburgh,
Oh, okay.
the
I went
local
out.
spot.
I went out in Jersey, but I went out Saturday.
hmm
It felt good though. It felt good, like going out, hearing live music and taking in. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, we
Called a
started
couple
down at
friends.
the
I was like, yeah, let's
waterfront,
go.
and they were giving out beads and they were giving out hats. I was like, oh, we got to get some beads. So we definitely got beads, and then from there, we were wearing them to the
Nice.
other spots.
Wait, you went Friday or Saturday?
Friday
Okay, I
on
was
St.
like
Patty's Day.
Saturday because Saturday's always dead over by the waterfront. But
It was a Friday night.
all right, good, 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 good. All right,
hmm
cool. So you actually went out on St. Patty's Day. Did you have green beer?
I did not have any green beer. I didn't have any
No
green
green beer for
drinks.
you.
I wasn't even doing like the Irish car bombs. I was like, yeah, let's skip that this year. I did, however, go to lunch with a friend at like a nice Italian restaurant.
Mhm.
And like they come over and they tell you all those specials are. And one of the specials was the corned beef and cabbage. And I was like, ooh, I should have that. But I didn't order that because I would have been disappointed if it came out and it was like, I don't even like this. I just wanted to order it because it's St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, yeah. No, Saturday was good times. I didn't have no Irish food. I didn't do any of that.
Hmm.
I just my youngest on Friday, since he's on this cooking trip, he made a good dish for his grandmother. So we went there for Friday since I had
Oh, I've
him.
been hearing all about it.
Yep.
Grandma is raving about how good the food was.
And I love how like he made it, right? And then he kept saying to himself the cadence like for the title because I was like, buddy, you gotta know what you made. People are
Right.
gonna ask you. So he was like, I made, and then he was like going to his like little spiel as far as like what he made and everything. But it was good. It was good.
Mm.
All right. So, I mean, with that said, we're 5 minutes in. Let's go into the breaking news. So, as you can see with the title, it's Trump getting arrested today. You know, there's this whole big thing about um, Trump and the New York district attorney is putting in charges to have him arrested, right?
Mhm.
And it's crazy because I was listening to a Twitter. So Twitter has this thing where you can actually listen to people talk. And so everybody goes into the room, and then certain people come in, and there's this one guy on Twitter who's like known for his talks, right? He's had numerous personas on there, right? He had Elon Musk, he had Tim Pool on there, um, but yesterday he started his, and I saw that there was a couple of names in there, so I was listening to a little bit, and it's just crazy how polarizing it really is on the left and the right. Like he had I forgot what their name is. They're like two brothers that are like heavily on the Democratic side, right? And like just the way that us as humans, when we tend to be very tribal, how we tend to pick and choose the things we want to bring up versus what we don't want to bring up, right? So it's like I thought it was crazy, and this thing went on. Apparently, it went on for 10 hours. I listened to it
Holy
like,
shit.
yeah, I listened to it. I got on. I made my dinner. I ate my dinner, and I was still listening to it.
Mhm.
I was like playing some Destiny. I was like watching wrestling. It was like all in the background, like the times where like things weren't popping in wrestling or whatever. I was like turning it up. I was like, okay, oh, you guys are talking about this, but that was the big thing that and then at one point, Rudy Giuliani jumped on, right,
Okay.
and America's mayor, right, came on and he was talking about like the likelihood and all this. So the breaking news today is that he's going to be indicted tomorrow, and Secret Service are making arrangements so that he can appear in court next week.
Mhm.
So are they actually going to get the photo op that they're dying to have of him in handcuffs? Who knows? The big question that came up was like, how is Secret Service going to handle this? Because he's a protected individual, right?
Mhm.
After your presidency, you're protected for life, right? So it's like, are they going to clear the police station? The Secret Service going to come in and do a sweep and all this stuff? Like this is just um, um, unprecedented times.
Right.
And it's crazy because if you study history, this is the start of the end, if that makes sense. Like when you can't debate your opposing side, right? And you go to like Trump charges to get your opponent out of the way. I mean, it happened in Rome, right? It's happening now. It's like it's big, like what I'm trying to say. Big societies tend to collapse when things like this happen. We heard things like this in the past, but it was coming from like where? From like Afghanistan or Iraq or places like that. Not here in America where you're arresting, the number one Republican candidate, right?
Mhm.
Like going into 2024, like that's crazy.
Yeah. And there's definitely like rumors all over the place. Like the one that I just had to scratch my head about was like, oh, that they're going to shut schools down. And I'm like, why? Why would they shut schools for this? But that's one of the rumors that people are just running with online.
Well, they're already saying, and this is once again, like maybe I'm being hyperbolic, maybe I'm stretching it too far with saying like, oh, this is the start of the end. But look at the things that we have right now. If you're on the right, you're censored on all social media, right?
Mhm.
You're censored. You can't really. So pretty much, your freedom of speech is censored and limited, right? Now they're telling people because of January 6th, which, mind you, once again, January 6th, the hypocrisy of it all, right?
Mhm.
Because prior to January 6th was the summer of love where people were rioting and Tifa was rioting and nobody was held accountable. DC was on fire. Nobody was held accountable, right? They were all let go. And yet you have, January 6th rioters or whatever you want to protesters, whatever you want to call them, in solitary confinement to this day, right? Waiting for their trial dates. They're getting the max sentence and all that. Once again, selective. enforcement of the law, right?
Mhm.
And so after January 6th, right, they're telling everybody, Trump's like, fight, go protest, fight for me. But they're pretty much everybody else is saying, don't, right? Don't do it. And so now that isn't that your First Amendment, like freedom of speech, freedom of, to protest. It's like all that stuff is starting to get limited. It's very limited to one side. And it's scary when we don't have that open discourse, or when we do have the open discourse, like I heard on Twitter for 10 hours, and people are just going back and forth with their echo chambers, and they're just once again selecting one thing they want to talk about, but they want to talk about the other thing, right? Like they'll talk about, I hear the left, they'll talk about, oh, well, Trump is a horrible person. He said he was going to, grab females by their junk, right? And then they're like, but once again, they won't talk about the Biden crime family, right?
Mhm.
They won't talk about the laptop. They won't talk about anything that's been popping in the news or anything like that. But then on the right, they'll talk about that stuff. And once again, I'm not saying Trump is perfect, right? Trump has his issues, and it's like, but when you defend Trump, they once again they label you as this alt right fanatic. They're like, how dare you? Can you defend Trump? All that, and I'm like, the reason why I like Trump was because he was an outsider coming in, right? He was
Mhm.
supposed to be this maverick coming in, and he was supposed to shake shit up. And once again, he didn't. He didn't. I'll put that out there. But I'm not ready to jump on the bandwagon with like a DeSantis or something like that. I like him. Don't get me wrong. I like him for Florida. But I look at him. I'm like, you're just another politician, man. Right?
Right.
You're not the change we need right now. So I don't know. I'll take your thoughts. I feel like I've been rambling, but yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy news, man. Like,
Well,
Trump is
no.
they're
So
really
you tied it into how it's like our First Amendment right to go ahead and do these protests and
yeah
say what we believe. We have the freedom of speech, and that closely ties into the Second Amendment. And I know that's like a huge deal here in the U.S.
yes
Everyone's like either you're on one side or you're on the other
yes
side, and so I was listening to some comedy over the weekend, and someone was talking about that Second Amendment right. And one of the
yep.
points they made that kind of like shifted my way of thinking was like for people like you and I who, we are gun owners, we don't have guns because oh my god, we're gonna defend ourselves if like the government comes in or whatever. We have guns because we like guns. That's what it comes
Well,
down to.
I got a gun
Because
because I'm in the middle of the woods and I was like bears, really, honestly.
right.
When we called the police and it was like 30 minutes later, the one time we did call them, I was
Hmm.
like, you know what? At that point,
Let me get some guns.
I can get pizza faster than you guys. I need to get
Hmm.
some guns on my end. And then after that, like all the other guns, is like, yeah, I like them. But the Second Amendment wasn't just to defend yourself from your neighbor. It
Hmm.
was to defend yourself from the government. Like
Right.
that's why the Second Amendment says that we have the right to form a militia.
Right.
And this is
Now.
it's mind boggling that people don't see that the time they wrote this, they just won the Revolutionary War. They
Hmm.
just got away from oppression. They're gonna make sure they're gonna set in the foundation so this is not gonna happen again.
Right.
And it's crazy because you see the bills where it's like Biden's calling to ban all automatic weapons and everything like that. And I'm like, as American citizens, the way I read the Second Amendment, whatever the U.S. military has, some form of organized militia should have the same.
Hmm.
I'm just saying, like, we need tanks and planes too. I'm just saying.
Right. And that's, that's what, the point is that the comedian really wanted to bring across is that we're so hellbound. Oh my God, we need our guns. We need our guns. But ultimately, the government has more than just guns. Like, are we really fighting to bring guns to a drone fight? Are we really fighting to bring, guns to a droid fight? Where, we're up against machines, against robots. Like, what's our guns really going to do? It's
I
the old
mean,
fight, like bringing a knife to a gunfight. Like the
I,
technology
I,
is
I
there
hear that, but then I
where
also saw.
guns are not the answer. They're not what's going to help us be able to like step up to our government and to our leaders and try and bring around change.
I mean, but that's going to be the ultimate end goal. At some point, there's going to be. I mean, look at where we're going. We're not voting is not the answer anymore, as we can see.
Hmm.
Do you really trust our elections? I don't. I don't think that our elections are fair. I feel like they found a way to break them, and now they're forever broken. And
Yeah, but
that's
do
the
you really
one
think?
thing I wanted from 2020 was for us to at least audit. Like we had
Mm,
so many questions and they went unheard. Nobody even audited. Nobody audited, and that's another thing I heard that they're going to bring up charges in Georgia against Trump because he called up, the governor and was like, "Hey, find more votes and all this." So it was like, but regardless of all of that, they still didn't audit. They still didn't show anything. There was no transparency. There was no, even with they said the voting machines were rigged or messed up, right? When you have those accusations, why not come out and say, no, look it, here's all our receipts. Like, is there something wrong with showing receipts? If you don't show receipts, to me, that's just shady.
mhm.
If you go to the store, somebody's like, hey, did you buy that? Yeah, here's my receipt, right? You're being transparent. But if you don't
Right.
show that receipt, right? I don't know. To me, it's just it's weird that I'm not voting anymore. I don't trust these elections.
I just
And
feel like we get so just polarized with our beliefs of, oh, well, let's uphold, the amendments when, those amendments were made years ago. And what we need to do is find a way for us to have the freedom that we're supposed to have as Americans, to have that, that right to speak up, but we need to bring the verbiage into the 21st century.
that scares me that you say that. That scares me that you say
An
that.
amendment is
Because
a
can you
change,
imagine?
but an
I
amendment is
get
a
that,
change. So
but
what's
can
wrong
you
with changing the
imagine?
amendments?
Can you imagine the mindset that we have in this day and age making the amendments? I like, first off, the what we have now has lasted 250 years, right?
Hmm.
So it shows that it could stand the test of time. And not only has it stand, 250 plus years, look at all the stuff that's come along. A civil war, right? The industrial revolution. Look at how much we were in the frontier land. We expanded across, from the early colonies, we went across America and expanded. So not only did it work when we were just a few settlements, but it also worked when we expanded to 50 states, right? It worked with just evolution of just man and overall, right? When it was first written, there was muskets, right, and
Hmm.
horses, right. Now we got cars and automatic rifles, and it's still freaking working. But the thing that has me scared with what you just said is the mindset we have today. And I get it, and you're saying it in good faith that we should have amendments that meets this day and age. But I feel like this day and age is the most darkest day and age that we had in 50 years, maybe
Hmm.
even 100 years. Like, I do not want anybody from this day and age writing an amendment to last for the next 100 years with the woke ideology, with the whole. I mean, we're worse now with diversity than we were like 20 years ago, and it's going the other way where we're choosing to be segregated in the spirit of diversity. I don't understand that. Like
Hmm.
what Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream." We are going the opposite direction with this woke culture. Like I don't see that, and it scares me to think that anybody from this time, 2023, would go and write an amendment for my future kids. That scares
Hmm.
me. I don't want that. Hell no, I don't want that.
I really don't see how changing our amendments, to be honest, whether we have the same amendments we have right now, or if we change it to kind of evolve with us with time, I don't see how it's going to change our culture.
You don't see it?
No,
They'll
I
look
think
at the
our
19th
culture
Amendment. I,
is
I think that
is
was brought up
crashing and
before.
burning at the moment.
Well, yeah, it is crashing and burning. But look at one of the amendments that was spoke about, right? Revoke the 19th Amendment. The 19th Amendment was that it gave women the right to vote, and it's not against women. It's not against women, but women do tend to vote emotionally, right? And they tend to vote for what? Socialistic programs that are now destroying America, right? So honestly, I think that amendment should be changed, and it's not just men and just women. I think it should just be, if you're going to vote, you should be paying taxes. You
Hmm.
should have skin in the game. You should be putting money into it before you decide where this money is going to go. Because a lot of these people, they vote for what? And once again, it comes with a good heart, right? But somebody has to pay the bill. Like the whole thing where they want to say, college, people who are in college debt, we should forgive that debt. And I'm like, why? You made that bad decision. Why should
Hmm.
I have to pay as a taxpayer? I have to pay for a bad decision you made. Like, no. And once again, this is the bleeding heart mentality. This is where we're going with this whole woke mentality. that we're losing the sense of logic. I always say logic, right? Like I look at things and I'm like, common sense dictates that that doesn't make any sense, right? It's just a sense of logic, and we need to get back to a point where we are logical, where we can talk to each other, even though we may have difference of belief, but we could come to the same table and have discourse. If we can't have that, we shouldn't be touching any of the amendments. Because the last time we had one, it was the what was it when they wrote the 19th Amendment, which I think was what, maybe like 50, 70 years ago, something like that. Um, look at how far how radical it's been since then. Like I don't want that. I don't want that. I think the forefathers did exactly. I think they were pretty much like psychic or something. The fact that they were able to write what they wrote, and it's been the thing that's been getting us through. And look at anywhere else in the world. As much as you want to, as much as you, America is in a bad place right now. What our foundation is amazing.
Mhm.
And the fact that we think that we could change it now is scary. That's the same thing why, the last talk we were talking about religion, and people think they're better than the Bible, or they're better than the guidance, which once again, the Bible was part of that foundation for America, right? If you look at the Ten Commandments are the same as our laws and stuff like that, right? They correlate, they run parallel, right? All of this has its place. All this has its place, and we got to realize that people has been doing this since the beginning of time, right? So there's a reason why certain things were the way, and we, the little babies, think that we could change things by thinking, oh, we're gonna be nice, or oh, we're gonna do this, or we're gonna be more inclusive, or we're gonna do this, and it's like, and then you see now society's breaking apart, right? Maybe certain things should have stayed the way they were. I'm just saying. That's all my thought. I'm thinking out loud.
Fun says they won in Vietnam, they won in Afghanistan, they won in Korea. Resistance and patience wins wars.
Hmm. So wait, does that mean they're going to win in Ukraine? Is that what you're getting at, Buzz?
TBD. Honestly, it's whatever the powers to be wants to, create over there. Because you and I are not on the ground over there. We really don't know what the situation is. We're just listening to the information that's trickling back to us, and the information that's trickling back to us, you have to watch the sources of that information.
I question a lot of that stuff though, because like, if it's really a war zone, why are we one sending movie stars over there? I've seen a lot of movie stars over there, right? Oh my God, oh bleeding heart, right? Why is our president going there? Have you ever heard of a president going to an active war zone? I can't remember that.
Not at all.
Now I remember going like they're going, and even then like the USL would go, but they would go outside of the war zone, not right into the war zone where a bomb can just drop and hit our sitting president. Like to
Right.
me, that doesn't make any sense, and so that's why I'm like it's all theater. Apparently, the Ukrainian president used to be an actor, so I I have questions when it comes to all that. Like, and you see him in all these magazines. Like he's in the middle of a war and he has time to pose for photos and do all this stuff. I'm just like I'm not. I did not buy Ukraine whatsoever. And then when all this money that's going there, I question it so much. Like, why do we got to send so many billions of dollars?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you understand billions of dollars? Companies are worth billions of dollars. Legacy companies that's been around forever are worth billions of dollars. And that's what we're sending over there. Enough money to start like a Fortune 500 company. And I don't see where it's going. I don't understand it. To me, I think that whole thing is corrupt. I think it's all corruption. But
Absolutely.
that's just my opinion.
Ukraine is a hot topic, but wait a couple years and public opinion might change. America is great at destruction, but bad at rebuilding nations.
Hmm. And this whole Trump thing, going bringing it back to our title, this whole Trump thing, I'm like, what else is going on? Because whenever something makes the news that everybody stops to look at in one direction, everybody stops to look left. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what's happening right? What's going on over at the right? Right? Like if you think about it, last week we were talking about all these banks going under.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I came on here, I was like, hey, get your money out of banks, start looking at a credit union. Which Lynn was like, I already have a credit union. I was like, good for you, Lynn. And then all of a sudden now we're talking about Trump, getting arrested and it's making all the news headlines. Yet that hasn't changed, right? all the other like what are they trying to divert our attention from? And that's the thing. It's always like that. Something comes in the news, everybody's looking left, and then they secretly do something right.
Hmm.
So I'm curious to say, let's start looking over here and see what they're going to end up doing. Like, what are they going to sign quietly in the night? Some bill that they make law or something like that that we're not even paying attention to.
Some say 200 banks and Bitcoin from 27K to 1 million.
Hmm.
A
Yeah,
big jump.
I was the show that over the weekend. This show originally, I was going to be able to talk about these banks because I was hearing that Credit Suisse, which they were having problems a few years ago too. They just got bought out by their rival, right? Because they're about to go under. They're saying that there's a lot of banks that are about to go under,
Yeah.
and then people are questioning like, why are we bailing out these banks when they're just going to keep doing the same thing. They got bailed out back in 2008, right? They
Hmm.
no regulations, no arrest, no nothing, and that yet they get to do it all over again when it's so hard to start like little banks or new banks, right? So someone was like, let's stop putting the money on these old institutions that are going to keep crumbling and let's start building new ones, right? Maybe new people can run money better. So, that's like, I was ready to talk about that on this show. And then, sure enough, come Monday, or I think it was Sunday, that Trump tweeted, and that was the big buzz all day yesterday, was that he's about to get arrested, right? So it could be that. It could be the banks that they're trying to get, stop all these bank runs. Because I think, what was it? Last week there was supposed to be a bank run, and then with Credit Suisse, I think the UK, they were like fearful of a bank run over in the UK too.
Hmm.
And you know what a bank run is, right? When
I
everybody
have no
runs to the
idea.
bank, it's when there's a fear that the bank's going to collapse, so everybody goes running to the
Oh, and
bank
they're trying to take their money out.
and try to take their money out. But the
Okay.
bank doesn't have our money, right?
Right.
Like, however much the bank has right now, if you go to your local bank, they're not going to have all that money.
Hmm.
So that's what they're trying to stop. I think this happened in the last time I heard of something like this happening, it was in 2008, where they actually like shut down ATMs. Like, you can go to an ATM and none of the ATMs were working.
Hmm.
Like, that's how bad it got in 2008. But so there was all this talks about bank runs here in the U.S. and UK and all that, and then all of a sudden, like I said, now the news is coming out that they're going after Trump. And mind you, they're going after him for the most stupidest thing too. They're going after him because he paid hush money to an ex porn star, right? And this
Hmm.
is all part of an NDA, right? A non disclosure agreement, which is legal binding contracts. There's millions of them written every single day, right? And even like, what were they saying? Like, the most that this could be is like a misdemeanor, which, once again, selective. The selective society we're living in. This is the same district attorney in New York who has been letting go misdemeanors, and like crime has been running rampant in New York because they're trying not to go after aggressive for like simple things like smoking weed, prostitution, even some like armed robberies and stuff like that. I'm like,
Right.
that's crazy, man. Armed robbery, and you're not even enforcing the law on that, but then you want to go to Trump, after Trump for this. So I don't know. To me, once again, it's just a little witch hunt. And I look at Trump, and Trump has his faults, but I'm like, I can't think of anybody in history who has been so like just on this massive witch hunt, at least in recent times. And, I'm trying to think, and I'm like, man, they really go after this guy. They did it with the Russian hoax, right? They
Hmm.
did it with like every single time that some kind of tape leaks or some kind of allegation comes up. I feel like this guy's been battling in the courts like his whole life.
Hmm.
This is crazy.
Which also, it's something to watch because, like, why is it that they're going after him so hard? Why do they want to stop him so badly? Why do they want to kind of silence him
They
when?
don't. They don't want him for another. They will do whatever they have to do to not have him in office for another 4 years.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
That says they're trying to distract our country's national debt. Um, is 32 trillion and 200 trillion is unfunded liabilities.
That's crazy.
Those numbers are just insane. I can't even
Hmm.
fathom that number. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
That's crazy. Like who's gonna pay that back? Our
Right.
kids, 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 kids.
If
Like
that.
I'm like, jeez. You know what's funny too is like every debt that we have, there's some kind of payment plan or some kind of
Hmm.
interest, right? If you have like secure debt, if you don't make your payments, they're coming for your home or your car or whatever, right?
Hmm.
I'm like, geez, it's like, are we on a what's our what's our 30-year like payment plan for that? And what's our interest rate gonna be? Like that shit is crazy, man. What was it 200 trillion? 200 trillion.
Well, our country's national debt is 32 trillion.
That's crazy though.
I'm trying to distract that Social Security is bankrupt. That's something that we've been talking about for years, though. With the baby boomers going into retirement when they did, it was like, well, are we really going to be able to afford um, to maintain Social Security?
But I know Social Security is like the age keeps getting pushed back. Like, wasn't it at some point it was like 55 and then it got pushed back to 60 and now it's 65? So
Hmm.
by the time like I'm ready for it, it's gonna be like, oh, you gotta be 75.
Right.
But you gotta understand too, like I don't think when they wrote Social Security they thought that people were gonna be living as long as we're living now.
Hmm.
Maybe that's why it started at 55 because it was like, oh, you're just gonna survive another 5 years.
Right.
So the fact that we got people living well into their 90s, that's definitely a program they didn't. Well, like, well, what? People living into the 90s? We got to redo the math. Our math
Right.
is off. Can you imagine, like, just if time travel did exist, it just bringing somebody from like that time forward into our time, but
Hmm.
not just like the person who did the math for that, right? Bringing him forward, and he's like, "How do you guys survive past the 90s? This thing should have collapsed." He's gonna be like, "What the
Right.
hell?"
Yeah, because our
Oh man,
average life expectancy has definitely changed over the years. What was it
hmm
before? Let me see.
I know at one point it's like way back when our life expectancy was like 40 years old. Like me, I would be like they would be prepping me to die soon.
So in the
But
1900s, it was 47.
yeah,
In 1950, it was 68.
uh-huh.
But by 2019, it was almost 79 years.
Right. So factor that into Social Security, and that's the reason why it's
Currently,
it's going
77,
bankrupt.
76. Yeah.
Like it's not even like the program itself is sustainable if people were just dying, you know? Like maybe that's why they released Kofifi. Maybe that's
Oh
the
my
secret to
God.
Kofifi. They were like, "Yo, we made it in a lab. We're trying to kill all these old folks because we can't pay for you anymore." I'm just saying. Do
Yeah.
the math.
I've been paying Social Security for 30 years so far, and I won't see a dime.
No, no, you won't. They're gonna push it to 70. Watch.
Oof.
Because what is it right now? It's 65 right now, right?
It's 65. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can only imagine they're going to revamp it. And one of these bills, because that's how they do it, they're going to put it in one of these bills under the rug or whatever, and they're going to push it back to 70. And then they'll
Hmm.
be like, oh, yeah, the Act of 2024 says it's now 70. It's like, oh, okay. If I make it that far.
Hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, all the changes that we're going to see over the next year as we go into this election year.
Hmm. Yeah, no, and it's like, once again, like I see all this stuff, and it's I don't I just I'm tired of the hypocrisy. I hate hypocrisy in my life, right? I try to get people out like that are not they're selective. They'll cry about one thing, but then they won't cry about the same thing, but it's over here, right? I don't like that. I don't like it, and I definitely don't like seeing it in our politics. I don't like it and seeing it in our country how we're being run and all this stuff. It's like um, it's definitely turning into something where a selective few are going to get their up and comings, right? Like the rest, we're all going to suffer because we're not part of that crew.
Hmm.
And that's where I can see people are going to lose their shit because if things starts getting harder and it's selective, I mean, there's no listen. You can only what's the saying, right? You could corner a trapped animal and not expect it to attack, right? Or even an injured animal, right? Expect it to attack. I see that coming soon. I see
Mhm.
people starting to lose their shit. They're gonna be like, why is that? I mean, people are still losing their shit right now. People saw the Summer of Love and they were like, oh, well, if you got the right to protest for that and destroy everything, why can't I do that for what I believe in?
Mhm.
And then, but then we see the outcome. It's not the same, right? They all, Summer of Love, they all got to let go, right? BLM, they all got to let go. Antifa, they all got to let go. January 6th, they're still locked up in solitary confinement. I don't
Mhm.
understand that. To me, that doesn't make any sense. And then once again, when you see this and you realize, well, I can't talk about it, I can't protest about it. At some point, that's going to, as a citizen, that's going to start boiling up.
Mhm.
Especially if you're still working, you're paying taxes. You're like, what am I paying taxes to? I don't even have my freedoms.
Right.
That stuff starts bubbling up before you know it explodes. How? I don't know. I don't know, but there's something's coming down the pipe.
Fuzz with the comments today. So he says they're trying to distract us. Another distraction. Hypothesis, I guess. They're
The
trying to distract
AI
us from devil's plans
AI
for human
apocalypse.
destruction. It's called the AI apocalypse.
Hey, I gotta say, I like AI. Have you used? I asked you, have you used that Chat GPT yet?
Yeah, I'm using
Where
I'm
you can go
using
and you can
all those
ask.
different versions of AIs. I'm doing the
Yeah,
different bios and
I started using it for work. So my boss, he came out and he was like, "Hey, I need da 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 da," and I was like, "I've never done that before. What do you mean you want da 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 da?" So I was like, "All right, well." pulled up Chat GPT and I said da 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 da, and he popped something out. I formatted it. It took me like 5 minutes, and he was like, "This is awesome. This is exactly what I was looking for." I was like,
hey.
I was like,
Yep.
awesome. Save me like a whole day of me trying to figure it out. So
Yep.
I'm eager to see more ways to actually use it. And um, listen, we're not the only ones. Chat GPT, as you see, the website's always down because it's like reaching its max capacity of people going onto it. I've
Mhm.
heard that there are companies now paying up to 300K a year for people to be what's called a prompt writer. So you know how the prompt is that whatever you put in that box. They're
Yeah.
looking for people who knows how to do the keywords to generate good outcomes out of the AI.
Mhm.
So I was like, man, 300K. I was like, whew, I might have to start looking at a new job here. I mean, AI is the way of the future. And if you ask me right now, like which crypto plays I would do right now,
Mhm.
yeah, AI, anything tying with AI right now, AI is the
Right.
buzzword. So is it the devil
It's
coming? Who
everywhere. I
knows?
mean,
Who
I
knows?
even came across one that creates like entire videos for you. And that
Hmm.
was kind of cool. I was like, oh, let me, play around with this. And sure enough, you like type in like a topic and it like gives you like somebody's head. It's like almost like a little cartoon character, but maybe not a cartoon character, but
It's the
they'll do like a 20-30 second video for you. And the face is like the mouth is moving, the eyes, everything is going on. And
mhm.
it's just, speaking the information that you just typed in.
Yeah, my kids are having so much fun looking at the videos on YouTube where it's the presidents, right? So they give the script and everything and it sounds like Obama, Trump, and Biden, but they'll do like rating Pokemon cards
Mm-hmm.
or they're playing Warzone or something like that. And they love it. Like they'll watch it and it's just out of character because they'll be cursing, they'll be saying all this stuff, but they literally sound like them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe the Trump one kind of sounds suffocated sometimes, but like they actually kind of sound like them, and they're just like it's crazy. I've seen the ones where they'll take like two photos of like Obama, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think you only need two photos to feed it, but the more you feed it, the more better the algorithm is. But then
Mm-hmm.
you could feed the photo, and then you tell them the scenario, and they'll create that photo.
Right.
So like they did one where they fed it two photos of Obama and they were like put him in a cowboy outfit and cowboy hat and all that. And sure enough, the photo came out and looked legit. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I could use this for my dating profile.
Yeah.
Put
AI
two
is
photos in.
definitely
Look at me like climbing Mount like the Himalayas. Here I am, my horseback. I was like, yeah, I'm doing all this stuff.
Mhm. AI is definitely the future. That's where we are right now.
Yeah. And it's crazy too because like a lot of people are scared of it. And I'm like, no, there's nothing to be scared of. I mean, look at when the computers came out, people were scared of that, right?
Hmm.
When the internet came out, people were scared of that. It's just like you got to be forward thinking and you got to figure out a way to use it now. It's like
Hmm.
this is the cutting edge. This is the next big boom. If you missed out on, the internet run up, the internet bubble, if you missed the crypto bubble, the crypto run up, which we're still in it, but if AI right now is the play to play,
Hmm.
right? That's the one to do it, especially if it keeps evolving. This is the reason why Microsoft bought a portion of Chat GPT. Elon was part of that, right? Elon Musk helped develop it. Microsoft bought into it. Um, I heard Google's working on theirs. I think you can get on their waiting list. I think it's called oh shit, it's something with a B. I can't remember the name of it, but you can get onto that now. And anybody who's anybody's put it out. I think even the video came out with something. It's the play to play right now.
Hmm.
So that's my take. I wouldn't be running away from it. I'd be running into it so you could be on the cutting edge of it. I think it's Bard.
Yeah,
Google's
so
is
I'm looking up
Bard.
now. Bard.
BARD.
Hmm.
But it's the same thing. You can ask it anything. Now, don't ask it about politics, of course. This woke ideology already, programmed it ahead of time. So it's always going to think Republicans are bad, the Democrats are the best. That's how it is. So don't ask it about politics, but anything else practical, it's a great tool. That's the way I look at it. And I know
Oh,
that's
Fuzz is in the comments here with some bad news. Looks like he failed the AZ 104 exam. But Fuzz, don't get discouraged. Like it was just your first step. Every failure is a learning opportunity. When I first took my Security Plus exam, for that certification, I failed it, and I actually failed it by just a few points. And what it showed me
mm,
is that I had the basic understanding, but I really wasn't ready to implement it. So, like, my best advice for you is, reschedule it maybe like a month out and just try it again. Every time that, we retest about a subject, we tend to get to score a little higher. But at least now you'll see like where you need to like focus your study.
also because I failed. I'm in the cybersecurity field, right? I've been in it for like 20 years now.
Mhm.
Um, when I first started, everyone was like, "Hey, get the CISSP," which is still a big name today, CISSP, right? But I failed it twice. I failed it twice, and working with the DoD federal side of the house, you got to have certifications, right, to proceed with certain roles, right? And the CISSP was one of them. So, being that I failed it twice, I was like, look, I got to keep moving forward. So
Mhm.
I pivot. I was like, all right, what other certifications can I take? And sure enough, I started, studying under the Asaka branch, which was the CISA certification, which is a auditor, right? Your information system auditor, and then the CISM, which is the security manager certification. So I took those two, and then those two was the equivalent of having the CISSP as far as the branching. So
Mhm.
that's how I met that requirement. So it's sometimes, you know, I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. Maybe you just got to see what that reason is. Maybe you got to pivot. Maybe you should go for a different cert. Or,
And
like
it
Lynn said,
sucks. It sucks
study
because you
and
have to pay
retry
for the
again.
exam every time.
It
But
does. It does. Especially if
but
you're not working in that field and it's all coming out of your pocket, nobody's helping you.
Mhm.
It does. It does because I think at the time the CISSP was like $500, and
Mhm.
I paid that twice, and I was like, oh god,
Yeah.
oh man, that was rough. That's why at that point I was like, I'm not spending 500 again. I got to do something else. So what I
Mhm.
did was Isaka had their own internal like chapters. So I at the time I was living in Virginia, so I joined the Northern Virginia chapter, and they had like a weekend boot camp where it was like I think 5 weekends that I was going, and they were teaching me the course and everything, and that we all learn in different ways. Sometimes some people can be bookworms and they can read things. Sometimes people are a little more hands on. I think I'm more of a visual, explain it to me, kind of give it to me in a scenario kind of person. So going to that boot camp and hearing the person explain things, I was able to see things and relate it to what I was doing with work, right? So that definitely helped. And then I did that. And then right away, I did the second boot camp for the second certification too. So yeah, that definitely helps. So maybe that's a different way of learning, or listen, there's Azure, there's Google, there's Amazon, there's a lot of options out there. So um, keep at it.
Yeah.
Don't give
Don't
up.
get
That's all I'm gonna
discouraged.
just don't give up. Keep at it because the pay is nice. Oh man, it's nice. It's nice right now, especially with like now's the time to do it because with jobs slowing down, we're in a recession, we may be going into a depression. Inflation's going up. They're saying inflation is here to stay. It's only a matter of time before businesses realize that, and then salary starts to go up too. But now's the time to do it. Now's the time to get into IT. We were just talking about AI. Cloud AI. All these things are our future. It's here. It's our now, and it's gonna be here for a while. There's one thing. Lynn's like, I gotta find a job for my kid. He has to go out and work. And I was like,
Mhm.
I'll take him for a little. I'll teach him about computers because you know what? That's what my mom taught me, right? His grandma. My mom told me when I was little. She was like, if you want to make money, get into computers. That's what she told me. And when I got older, I was like, I don't know what to do. But mom told me if I want to make money, I got to get into computers. And sure enough, I
Right.
got into computers, and now I make a shit ton of money. And that's what you know, I'm gonna teach my kids because I'm like, if I'm telling them not to go to college because it's a waste of time, I gotta offer up a solution, right? And the
Hmm.
only solution I know is what I was always told: get into computers. It makes money. So that's what I'm gonna tell people.
Yeah, my son's coming up on, well, he's 14 now. And so it's going to be the first summer that he's 14. And I told him the other day, I was like, hey, go to your guidance counselor and ask for your working papers, like, let's get this ball rolling. And, like, he kind of looked at me like, what do you mean?
What?
What are working papers?
What's
I'm like, dude,
working papers?
get it together.
He's like, wait, what? I gotta get a job now?
Yep, a job.
That's crazy. But yeah, no, yeah, start now. Give them a good work ethics. You
Hmm.
know, give them good
Yeah, I
work
mean, my
ethics,
first
and
job, I was only 13. I was working off the books. I
oh
didn't even
shit,
wait to hit 14. I was just getting straight cash. It was nice.
that's good.
Hmm.
And like I told you before too, have them doing chores, man. It's
Hmm.
funny that like I keep hearing chores, 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 and like people really don't like. There's marriages falling apart because of chores. This is
Yeah,
crazy. That to
yeah.
me is mind boggling.
Which
Now,
is crazy because us as individuals, like, we're gonna go into, happiness and what happiness is, but us individuals, like, we should have that pride in, home ownership, in our space, in keeping our environment, to a certain standard.
yeah, I agree. I
We
agree.
should also find, the joy and the appreciation in being able to do that. In having a room that you can clean, in having an apartment that you can take care of, and having a house that you can grow in and
Hmm.
provide for your family with.
Yeah. Yeah, like with my youngest, the fact that he really expressed an interest in cooking. So, I got the dinner boxes coming in and there are all the fresh ingredients with the
Mhm.
instructions on how to cook it and all. But cooking at home makes a lot of dishes. So what we're doing is we're washing the dishes as we go along. So as something is cooking, I'm washing the pot that we just used, or I'm
Yeah.
washing this or the cutting board and all that, putting it to the side, going over back to the stove. Okay, let's do this, let's do that. And that helps, but it's like
And not
I
to
don't
mention
mind.
cooking, like, having that ability is so important. And when we
Mhm.
look at a lot of people today, they're just like, I don't know how to cook. What? How do you eat? Yeah.
But in the same sense too, like every meal that he has made so far with the box order, it's been amazing. It's been like gourmet food, and I'm like, man, we're
Mhm.
making this at home. Why haven't we been doing this before? Like I feel
Right.
like I'm dining out every time I eat. And so it's just you got to put in the
Fuzz.
work.
Fuzz is he mows his own lawn, saves $1,000 a year on gardener fees.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
like, that's one of the things that I was touching on last week when we were talking about being a traditional wife, is that if you don't have to outsource for some of these things around the house, you're saving money that can be allocated for something else. Like, we can live well below our means. We just have to have it in us to put the work in.
Yeah, but the thing is like modern women do not like having to ask somebody for money. Like they
Hmm.
don't. And so it's really hard to ask somebody to stay at home and take care of the home while the other person goes to work, and then they're your source of income. Like when you want to splurge on something, like you want to go and buy, go, you can't. You got to ask, can I spend this dollar? It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's rough, you know. I get it, but in the same sense, I don't, because it's like we should be working as a team.
Mm-hmm.
We should be working as a team, and we should be, um, at that point, you should be putting the money into a joint account or something, and be like, all right, as long as everything is paid, this is a joint account. You can use it
Right.
for what you want, right? I just, but then I say that, but then I hear these stories of how they have like secret accounts leading up to the divorce, and there was like 50 grand that they funneled away over the years. And I'm like, how the
Mm-hmm.
hell you did that? So
Didn't even see it happening. But you know what?
yeah,
Because we women, we have the ability to stretch a dollar. Like we can be very savvy and we can put away and be disciplined in a way where not only are you, using your money correctly, but you're also able to help your money grow by saving and by making, those smart decisions.
I want to say that's more of the like the traditional mindset. Like I don't think modern women have that. And I know you technically you're a modern woman because you're young and
Hmm.
all that, but you do have these traditional values, right? You do have like the a traditional mindset. The ones
Hmm.
I've been seeing on TikTok, like there was this one girl, she was going around because and I was gonna send you the video. I was gonna do this as a clip, but she got out of a date, like she left the guy on the date because they went out to go eat fancy restaurant in New York, right? He ordered a cheeseburger. No, he ordered a burger, and he was like, "Does that come with cheese?" And the lady was like, "No, it's $3 extra or something." And so he was like, "Nah, that's okay." And so she left him. She acted like she was going to go to the bathroom. She was like, "I want to pay for the meal," and then she
Hmm.
left. And she texted him, and she was like, "You should have gotten the cheese," and then blocked him somehow, right? And I'm
What?
like, "Yeah, over cheese because it was $3." And I was like, "That's crazy."
What?
But then, so she posted this video as a flex, right?
Hmm.
And people just started ragging the hell out of her, right? So then
Mm.
she did her rebuttal. And then her rebuttal was admitting that she was crazy, admitting that she was upside down in debt, admitting that she wasn't good with money. And
Hmm.
I'm like, bruh. I was like, maybe you needed that guy to teach you how to like not spend on that cheese, right?
Right. 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 Because $3 for cheese is ridiculous.
It is. It is. So it was like and he made a rebuttal too. He was like he was already spending like $20 for the burger.
Hmm.
He was like at that point he was like, "Nah, I didn't want the cheese, but why does it matter
Right.
what I wanted? It was for me anyway." But
Hmm.
he was like, "Thanks for dinner. I dodged a bullet." I was like, "Yeah, you did."
Yeah.
Cuz she even admitted. She was like, "Yeah, I'm crazy. Yeah, I'm this." And I'm like, "Oh man." And that, but once again, that's that mindset that we see in modern times. And this
Hmm.
is why I'm saying like modern women, modern times, the mindset is like act like you got it, fake it till you make it. So
Hmm.
people are not even getting by. She even said it. She couldn't even pay rent, but she's still going out spending, $15 for a cup of wine or some shit. And I'm like, bruh, get your priorities straight.
Right.
Like, why are you going out here spending money that you don't have, being upside down in debt? Like, she was like, I got so much college debt, I got all this, I got credit card debts, I got all this. And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, man, who wants to date you? Because if
Hmm.
this goes, like, if, other than you being a toy for a night, if this goes any further, I got to take on your debt now, your
Hmm.
bad decisions. Like, I don't know. Once again, we live in a society where we're not pushing values, we're not pushing what matters anymore. And it's funny because I was doing the shorts, right? You when you created the shorts, and I was doing them,
Hmm.
and one of them we were just exactly talking about this, where people, they're just all about instant gratification, no matter at what cost.
Right.
Like people want those new shoes, even though they don't have the money for it,
Hmm.
at all costs, right? So they're gonna get themselves even more into debt. It's like it's crazy. It's crazy that that's the mindset.
Yeah. And it sucks because, a lot of times what they don't realize is that's what's fueling the need for them to work in these jobs that they absolutely hate.
Yep.
And they're getting trapped in that endless cycle. And
Yep.
even talking to people about like their retirement plans, like they say, oh well, I'm going to keep working for another 5 years, so I get like an extra, $200 a month for my social security, you know? And it's like we have this mentality of let's push, let's work
Hmm.
ourselves to the bones until, the very last minute. And then you're just old and yeah, you have a couple dollars coming in, but
Hmm.
where's your energy? Where's your that burning desire to do things, to explore the world and to just engage with your environment?
And true freedom, if we want to be blunt, true freedom is financial freedom. If you ain't financially free, you're a slave to something.
That's
You're a
true.
slave to Visa, right? You're a slave to your bank. You're a slave to your job. All this feminism, feminists that are out here that are like, oh, I don't want to answer to no man, but you're answering to a boss at work, right?
Hmm.
Who happens to be a man who doesn't even care about you because he sees you as employee number 52723, whatever, right?
Hmm.
That's who he sees you as. And whatever you do, whatever you got to ask him if you could take time off. Like you're still answering to a man. It's
Hmm.
like why not answer to somebody who loves you, somebody who you can grow and have a household and kids together. I don't understand that either.
Hmm.
But I hate working. I hate working. I used to tell my ex this all the time because he was like, "I want my career. I want my career," and I was like, "For what? Working sucks. Working sucks. The most important thing is here. This is the reason why I love coming home because of what's here.
Hmm.
It's like what's out there. That shit sucks. I hate that I got to be 8 hours in a cubicle or whatever. Like, that shit sucks. And this whole lie that people say like, oh, you need two incomes to support a family. No, you don't. No,
Hmm.
you don't. If you learn how to live well below your means and be content with living in a shoebox with your family, you'll be fine, and
Yeah.
have the best thing on this planet. You'll be the most happiest people on this planet
And they
because
say
you're
too,
not
like
chasing after all that.
smaller homes is how you raise happy children.
Yep, yep, I agree, one
There's
hundred
more
percent.
engagement. There's more just sitting in your face. Like, what are we gonna do
Yep,
today?
yep.
Versus
Look
everybody
at
in their own rooms. They're all in the other side of the room. They're in the second living
yeah.
room. Like nobody's talking to each other. Nobody's interacting. It's a
And
different
it
lifestyle.
and if you don't believe that, look at these kids. Look at these rich kids who are like, "I hate you, Dad. You bought me a Beamer when everybody else had a Mercedes.
Right.
Why? Why, Dad? Why'd you hate me?" Like, really, really? That's that really? It's like I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel I wish that we can, as a society, we can like humble ourselves again and go back to, how simple things were. Like when you watch those videos of like the 1950s and seeing just even the way they danced, like everything they did was so with like such innocence and such like a like childlike wonder. I was like, man, this is a completely race of people, like a whole different breed of people. Like I
Hmm.
don't even know if that's like human anymore. I'm like looking at them and I'm like, man, you guys were something different back then. Like where did it go now? Like take a clip from that and then like the music videos and what we got today. I'm like, oh my God. Like there is no sense of wonder. There's no sense of innocence anymore.
Hmm. Had somebody come into my house. I'm like, oh my god, let me mute myself real quick. Let them know, like, shush.
I'm on the show. I'm on
Right.
YouTube's. I'm on the tubes.
So for us, what's a big home? What's a wood shop, metal shop, and a ceramic tile mosaic shop? That's a lot of shops. You can't just have a garage and just have a little bench for each of those.
As long as you have some way of making each one of those rooms work for you and making some kind of money, then cool. But if not, you're just gonna be house rich. That's what I said the last episode. I don't
Mhm.
know why these people are chasing to be house rich. Right now, I'm debating selling this house because I have a three-bedroom home, and the kids are in one. I'm in one, and the third one. I'm sorry, the third one is their classroom, right? And I'm like, I'm even debating that. Like, I'm like, do I really need this classroom here? No, we could sell this and downsize to something else. It's
Right.
like here I am, I'm paying for this footage in this room that I'm not doing anything. I even thought about maybe renting that room out. It's like, let
Hmm.
me find some young struggling college kid that needs a room. You all right?
Yeah. Too bad you live in the middle of nowhere.
I
Like,
know. That's what I'm saying it. I was like, she could have a pet bear outside or something.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, but don't be house rich, man. I know everybody wants that, but if you can't afford that, and I mean not afford it like you're making ends meet, like you're barely paying the mortgage. I mean like an abundance, like that home sounds like it's an abundance. Your money should be an abundance, right?
Mhm.
Like that should be like nothing to you for owning that home. Then yeah, splurge. But if not, you know, all you need is a roof over your head. That's it. Just a warm place to
Honestly,
lay your
I
head on.
want, I'd love to build a house. I'd love to like design my own home and build from the ground up. And one of the things that I'm really going to put my focus into is my outdoor space. Like I want outdoor living space,
Hmm.
where we can enjoy meals outside and where we can, just commune outside.
Well, you're gonna do that here in the Northeast? Or are you gonna go somewhere like in Florida where you can have that 24/7?
I mean, I'd rather it be
Hmm.
someplace warmer. But New York is all I know, so I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah. So
at this point, it's still a dream. I haven't made the plan. I haven't said, "Hey, like, in
I'm
5
starting to make it
years, this is what I
reality
want to
because
build."
I started looking over here and I was like, man, because by me, there's all the mountains and lakes and
Hmm.
all that. And so they're like little summer homes that are, they're mobile homes, but they're going for like 65K. And I was like, man, if I sell this house, the profit I make off of this house, I can buy that cash, pay off
Hmm.
my truck, pay off, the other car, pay all that debt off, still have some money in my pocket, probably put it in crypto, and be like debt free. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, I can get my van, go down to Florida, and do the same thing down in Florida, and be
Hmm.
like half the year commute back and forth. I'm like, man, that'd be the dream.
Right.
But see, once again, I'm house rich, right? And mind you, I bought this house when it was bankrupt, right? It was like they were it was like a bankruptcy, and they were
Short
trying to,
sale.
yeah, short sale. It was like dirt cheap when I bought this home. So the
Hmm.
fact that the whole market is up right now, I'm like, I'm making like pretty much what I paid for this house. I'm gonna make in profit after I pay off whatever my loan is, right?
Hmm.
And so I'm like, man, I like it's a blessing, but in the same sense, it's like I can't tap into that until I get rid of this home.
Hmm.
And it's like I might as well do it because it's empty. It's
Right.
empty, and I'm just house rich right now. So será.
All right. Well, this was a short, sweet show today. We just came up on the hour. I'm gonna reintroduce guys. If you're new here, welcome, welcome to the channel, Sibling Rivalry. On our channel through this platform, we just aim to be givers. We're givers of love, givers of good vibes, and givers of strength through conversations. If you ever have a question or any topic that you'd like us to discuss, go ahead and leave something in the comments. Even if it's on an older video, Ray and I will get it, or shoot us an email, which is on our About page.
Oh, and we started doing more shorts. Lynn's chopping them up. I'm tagging them up, and we're putting them out there. I did do a poll over the weekend, and it was a great question, but it was 50-50, undecided. So it was like, what's your favorite part of the weekend? And I think the first question was catching up on shows and movies, spending time with friends and family, no work, duh, and then go party, and it was a party and spending time with friends and family. So I hope you're partying with your friends and family. I hope it's
Absolutely.
not like half of y'all just want to party. It's like forget everything. But hopefully we'll do some more community engagements. Just reaching out to you guys. I see our counts going up. That looks good. That's
Mhm.
what we want. We want more of you guys rocking with us, and hopefully we keep putting out good content.
All right, guys, we love you, and we'll see you Thursday.
Peace.